Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dora and I have something I'm working on. Um, so I wanted to kind of give you guys a glimpse at it, and I think I'm going to do something a little bit different with this one. It is a sewing journal, sewing theme. Um, I was going to take all the pages, I was going to sew everything into it, do this, big elaborate thing. And then I got to thinking, some of my journals don't sell very fast. I think it's because maybe sometimes we put a lot of things in it that maybe somebody doesn't like, or they like it, but it might be too much, or maybe it's not enough, or, things like that. So, what I wanted to try this time is make the journal, but not embellish it. Like, do little bits, yes, but not like fully. You know how, you know me, I like chunky journals. It was so hard to refrain from doing anything. So, I wanted to try something and get your guys' opinions. And so, just comment below and let me know what you guys think. And kind of, do something like that. So what I've done is I've created a 9.5 by 6.5 with a 2-inch spine. Let me get that in frame here. It is, first I took my black cotton fabric and wrapped around, and then I took this vintage tablecloth that my mom's had, God, forever. And then I sewed that all the way around. And I just left it, flat and blank, so that way it's easy to lay. It has 5 signatures. It has 182 pages, front and back. It has 7 envelopes, and 2 of those are not actually envelopes. They're like, it's a brown bag, but it acts as an envelope, like, you could tuck things in. And then it has 8 fabric or doily pieces in here included. So I left all the little strings, and things like that, but I'll explain why. So, but before we get into that, I wanted to show you the pages and how it's kind of worked out, okay? So when you open it up like this, and there's a pocket here on the front. All of the main pages I have sewn on either laces or trims, ribbons. On the first and last page, I did a this signature has the tickets. These are so, like, they're tickets, but they have like all the measurements for the sewings on them. These actually came from Antique Paperie. They're just held on by a little bulb clip. Here is a vintage instructions for a zipper. Now this is from, the other one I have, this was from 1989, not very vintage, but the other one I have is from 1956, which is also included. And you can use this as a bookmark. I thought would be kind of neat and different. And so I've just added some random pages. And here is another one of the tickets on the bulb. This is some ribbon. This is vintage sewing pattern. This is a piece of that cloth. It's got little butterflies on it. It used to be a handkerchief with some graph paper. Now some of these I have dyed around the edges, some I have not. I wanted to kind of leave that up to the person who gets it. If they wanted to do that, then that's all fine and dandy. These here are from the public domain. This is a vintage sewing machine. Here is one of the envelopes. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but when you print this, it prints and you can see right through that page. it is the coolest thing ever. I will get back to all the stuff that's stuffed in here in a moment. This is the back of that vintage page that tells you about the sewing machine. Here is the other piece of that fabric with the butterflies, the other side of the pattern, and again with the ribbon and the little ticket. Here is some sewn on, I'm not even sure what you call this, but it's the ruffle, the fabric ruffle, and another ticket. This here has some really pretty blue trim. This is a part of an old tablecloth that's embroidered, and it has some of the tatting on the edges. It is vintage. It has been washed. Everything has been washed. This is a old sewing pattern. Not really, really old, but it's an old sewing pattern. This here is some script ribbon. This here is also a vintage advertisement from the public domain. And you can actually see this through the back as well. These here are all tea-stained papers. This is the other side. I love the back side of this. This is Paper Studio paper. Now, I have got stuff shoved into these little baggies and envelopes. This does lay completely flat once all this stuff is taken out. So, just so you know. There's the other side of that pattern pack. Actually looks like the early 90s maybe type. Here's the other piece of that embroidered tablecloth. And as you can see, this is a hidden spine, and I did it with some really, really beautiful fabric, and then underneath of that fabric is muslin, so it has a double layer, so it's not coming off. And then I love this too, with the little sewing machine and the scissors and the buttons. It is the coolest ever. And then here we have a ribbon. It's like a really deep mauve with a pink piece of lace over. Here is another one of those advertisements. Here is one side of one envelope, and I just made it into a tuck area, and I just slid these in here so that way you guys could see that it actually does tuck in there with two little tags. This here is some black sheer ribbon with some gold ribbon on top, or copper, I think maybe. Here is one of those bag sides that I was telling you about. Here is the other side of that bag. And here is an envelope that you can tuck things in this way. Maybe little itty bitty bits and pieces. I love how this one came out. This is one of my favorites. Almost looks like the sunset and the clouds, and the land. I mean, it's really cool. Here's the other side of that advertisement. Here is a, it's kind of like a shimmery, it almost looks like it's got like iridescent something in it. It's a ribbon, but it's like a greenish blue with a blue ribbon over top. Here is another one of those advertisements. Here is one of the vintage doolies. These are the strawberries that everybody loved when I posted it on Instagram. And I just did a red lace with a gold iridescent ribbon on top. And yes, this is upside down. And then another envelope, which will also be stuffed before it's over. And I'll show you why over here on the side. Maybe I might not put anything in the book. I might just put it all on the side. There's the other side of the dually. And the other side of the advertisement. And then this one here, I put the lace in so that way it would flow, and then at the very back you would have a piece that is sticking out. And on the last signature here, we have these cute little, these are also from Antique Papery. These are, and I shrunk them down a little bit. These are, oh my goodness, now it's going to slip my mind. Oh my gosh. Body form. Yes, it's a form. So I got these also on little bulb pins. Cutest thing ever. But you can always put charms on them also, and I love how this one came out also. This one here. This here is a like a cream colored lace with a gold and brown ribbon on top, and here is a thread holder on this one. Here is a vintage tatted dually. I like how this one came out too. Now this one here I did ink up just so you could see it being inked. I don't think that's tatted. I'm not sure. It's really fine. Very, very thin dually. And then here is the other pin with the form on it. I love that lady on the back. And then there is the thread holder with the lace coming out of this one. And then on the back is another pocket stuffed full. So what we're going to do is we are going to show you, and so what I'm going to do is I am going to remove the stuff in the, actually we'll do it like this. We'll remove the stuff in the front and the back, and then we'll go through the book. We'll do that. Okay, so what I have done is I have gathered up a lot of ephemera and placed inside here for the person who gets this, that they can make it their own style of journal. I love making journals. I really, really do. And now when people contact me for custom journals, it's amazing. But the ones that I make and sell tend to not sell very fast. And I think it's because I may be overloading them. I'm not really sure. I may be not adding in maybe something that someone would like to have in it, or I'm not sure. So I have decided to do something like this in hopes that maybe this will allow someone to see what they get and can also make it on their own. You know what I mean? Like it's not already done for them. They can make it their own style. And yeah, there's some little bits and pieces in here too. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that may be it. Okay. And as you can see now, it's perfectly flat. It sits perfect. And it is a soft covered spine, so it moves with the book. So you can fill it up as much as you want or as little as you want. So I'm going to sit this to the side. And then we're going to go through this. What you will get with this journal. Okay? So the first thing is I want to pull out the rest that wouldn't fit in the journal over here. Okay? And also show you some of the other things. So first thing is I want to send some laces. Now these are vintage laces here, and these are vintage buttons. So I put them in a little separate pack so you can see these little buttons. Now there'll be 2 packs of buttons. And so then these here also, which are, some are new, some are very vintage, and some are not really that vintage, if that makes any sense. Some of them still have the thread in them, so some of them are different, different styles. Some are big, some are really little. So we'll stick that up there. These here are pieces off of a dually, a vintage dually. So that will come with the journal. And then we have this vintage lace here. You can see that. It's got a little bit of blue in it. Very, very pretty. And then this little pink one here. Very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. I am not a big pink person, but I do like this pink because it's not like bright. It's not like that vibrant. It's really subtle, very pastel, very calming pink. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So that will go in there, like so. And then this here is the a vintage tablecloth. I took the edging off. I was going to place it into the book as one of the pieces, but the pages start to get a little bit thick, but I am going to include it so you can put it into the journal if you want to, or you don't have to. You can just use it however you like to use it. So there's that piece. Here is a couple of the edging pieces for it that you can use in other places. Maybe like little, like this here is an altered bobby pin that I will include. So you could take the little pieces and make like little altered bobby pins. And these little altered bobby pins are so cool. They just slide on just like a paper clip would. And it's the coolest thing ever. And the coolest thing is you can take the bobby pin off and you can put it down as just a little cluster. And then we have, and I have to find some more of this. I have different colors, so I am going to add some more of this. This is piping. Sewing, for sewing is piping for the edges. You will also get a blue zipper. That does work. So if you wanted to do something cool, maybe on the front inside page, maybe sew some fabric and then have it unzip and you can have all your little secret stash in there. You will also get some blue jean patch fabric. It is jean. It's the it's to make patches with. This is actually vintage. This is actually from like 1950 something. I say it's vintage. Not really sure if it is or not. And then you get a page flip that I made. And so you have a little embroidery here. You have a little flower with a button at the bottom. And then it flips up like this. I was going to do each individual, but as you can see here, I've got the cheesecloth. And cheesecloth likes to stick to everything, so I just kind of made it one little full piece. So you will get that. You will get some pieces of, these are, when I tell you, you're probably going to laugh. Now, these are not silk, but it's that really soft, it feels like silk, but it's not. These are pieces from a Easter dress that I wore when I was 4 years old that I still have. So you'll get that. You will also get a couple more embroidered pieces. And here's another one of those little flowers off of that tablecloth. You will get some tatted edging. And I spotted this, the whole thing actually, so only certain spots are in certain places. So you can, let me pull that up a little bit. And then these are a couple of the pieces that came off that paper cloth that I spotted to make it look a little more vintage. Here is just a piece of cotton cloth. We have some very vibrant, I think this is like mauve colored ribbon. Now all these colors were incorporated in the journal, or I was going to incorporate. Here is the shimmer copper ribbon. Here is one of the laces on the borders. Here is a lovely vintage piece of lace. Here is that, it's like a blue-green, sea green ribbon. This is so pretty, I love this. This is white and silver with a sheer in the middle. Here is that bunched fabric, cotton fabric trim, or whatever you want to call it. Here is a vintage piece of trim. This is the It's like a really deep purpley brownie type color. This is the golden brown ribbon. Here is the copper ribbon. This is the blue, one of the blues that I used. This is the script ribbon. This is the black sheer. And then I'm going to, on the front cover, I couldn't fit it all on there, so I had to pull off some of the trim. So I'm going to give you some of the trim that came off of the cover and a little piece of the edging to add in there to kind of tie it all together. This is the black fabric that I used on the back side, so if you wanted to incorporate that, you could. And then I'm also going to send a couple of pieces of this really cool boho-y type, but the colors go great with the book, all the little colors that are in here. And then we're going to give some, let me get it here. Here is a piece of that boho-y type fabric that actually has all the colors that are in there also. That also goes with that trim, which is really cool. And then we have some little clusters that I also made and wanted to include as well. So here's two. Here's a big one, and this can be a flip. You have the little piece of trim here. This pulls up, this little piece pulls up, and then the whole thing can pull up. And then a little trim piece from a vintage Julie. And then a little wee snippet there. So that is the fabric and buttons and laces and trims. And then we have some flatback pearls. I know there's a shine, sorry. Now these here, you can pull off one at a time if you wanted, but they are all connected in a row. So you can use them, pull them all off and use them in a full row, which I think is really cool. Can't remember where I got them from, but I just stuck them in a plastic bag and put them in there. An extra envelope. These are the zipper cases that I'm going to include as well. Now these are, I don't know how old they are, but I don't think it says on here the year or anything, but this one was like $1.40. This one was like 26 cents. But I thought it would be cool to use in here as pencil holders, measuring tapes, markers, chalk, anything like that for sewing. You can put that in there. And then the same thing for this. It does fit pencils and pens, as you can see. Be a great little pencil holder for you. So I'm going to include those. Two little coin envelopes here. You could put buttons in them. You can put safety pins, anything like that in there to include, even sewing needles. Here are two little flip-up cards that I got from Stacy at Recyclos. I want to include these. They match really well with the trim. And then here is a stamped image of a woman. This woman is from one of the advertisements. And then behind her is some script. Here are two more advertisement ladies. These are more Asian descent type clothing line. And then here is some antique papery bookmarks or belly bands that you can use, which I think is phenomenal. So I'll just kind of give you a quick view here. Very, very beautiful. And then you will get tea-stained paper jewelry. I'm trying to get the... And I've included, this one here is a pinky peaches type journaling card. This one has laces. And then this one has the zigzags, or the V's that go across the chevron. I think about that for a moment. This is the other one of those. This is the instructions for the zipper that I'm going to also include. And this one is from, 1964. So I thought these would be cool little bookmarks. Okay, so now we get into some of the public domain items. So we have cotton reels. Then these here are all the threads. Let me get them around here really quick. And these can be used as belly bands, bookmarks, tags, anything you want to use these for. Accents to collage a page. And these here are just off of tops of the company's advertisement. This here I blew up. This is knitting wool, and I thought, how cool would that be as a belly band, right? Yeah, cool. And then we have some buttons here. Another set of buttons. And then we have, this is silk, a silk advertisement. This is a vintage sewing machine from a vintage book that I have, and as you can see, and on the back, it is from a book. My brother gave it to me, so it is the actual page from the book. It's not a copy, it's not a print or anything, so I wanted to include that. And then we have there's two of these cards, and I thought one could go in the front pocket, one could go in the back pocket as a journaling card. This is wool spun thread, and it's from Botany. This woman, oh my God, I love this woman. I love this woman so much. I use her a lot in anything that I put for sewing. The way her hat is, the way her dress is, you know, I mean, the picture is not the greatest quality to begin with. Even, I mean, you could print, I print on high quality glossy paper, even though I'm printing on printer paper, so it comes out really fine detail. But the picture is just so old that but still, is she not a beauty? She is a beauty. Okay, so enough of that. Here is another tag. This one here is actually from either Digital Expressions or Victoria Designs, but I did like the antique look, and I just put hole enforcers at the top. And then we have some beautiful, now these here are just on regular paper, regular printer paper. Nothing fancy spancy, but I thought maybe if you wanted to fussy cut or anything, you could do that. So these are all vintage advertisements. So there's one. There's two. I love the way they're dressed. There's three. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this one here floating around. Here is four. This picture is the picture that can't remember who they are. I can't remember them now. I have to go back and check, but they actually took this and made it a stamp, I do believe. So anyways, but this is a free domain picture. As you can see, the whole thing is included, not just the image. Here is another advertisement, and then here is another one. So I thought those were really cool to include. Oh, and here's two of the fabric pieces from the tulips that I showed in my last video. I wanted to include these because they are stitched around the sides, and they are just too cute. Okay, so moving on. So then we have some other things. Here is a little tag. Here are some, I guess you could call them journaling cards. Here is a vintage sewing machine. These came from Antique Papery as well, I do believe. I'll have to go back and check. This is a form. Here is some vintage ladies. I actually put on back them onto a card. And here's the other botany card. Okay, and then here are two more of the antique papery pieces. Here is a stamped image that I did of a form, and it's got stay classy and impress. All kinds of little script things in there. Really cool. And here is a big tag that I made out of my die, and I love the color. I thought it went really well. And then we get into the little bits and bobs here. So here are some that are just on printer paper, just if you wanted to do collaging or make your own. So here's some little things from Antique Papery. This book is just sewing, women type, you know. So there's those. We'll get to those in a moment. And here are some little fussy cut pieces that I did from free domain advertisements and things. And so here is a button, a size chart for buttons. Here is a vintage sewing machine. Here is another dress form. This here is a locking set for buttons. This is a vintage photo of a woman getting ready to sew. Some pair of scissors. This is a button wheel, what I like to call a wheel. The buttons come on it and you just turn it and pick your button. Here's just a little photo frame. Here are some needles. A little petticoat, I think is what they call those. Here is the smaller shrunk down version of the page that I put into the book. I put it as a journaling card. Here is a vintage woman. Woman, two forms, and a little thread thingy. Another dress form. And then here we have on some regular paper. These are from Antique Papery as well. These are just some advertisement pieces, which I thought were still super cool. I just shrunk them down so that way they can be used in for different purposes. Here is one of those threads. Here's another tag. Here are some more buttons. Okay. Here is a size chart for trouser buttons, for metal trouser buttons. Here is one that I backed onto a card. Here's another one I backed onto a card. I put in This Book Belongs To. We have fancy colors. These are 2-ounce hanks. These are how much you would get if you were to buy them. These are safety pins. This is the company's little logo thing. And we have safety pins here, here, and here. And then of course here is the other one. This here is just a little embossed scalloped that I inked up around the edges. The back I left plain, so if you wanted to use that side you could, or you could flip it over and use that side. And these are some little pieces. We'll get to those in a minute. Here's another tag. Here's a tag with women. This one did come from Digital Expressions. Here's a little brown tag I did with a die cut. Here's a bigger one I did. And then these pockets here came from Digital Expressions as well. So you have a little letter pocket, you have a lace pocket, another like wallpaper type pocket, and an envelope pocket. Here is a die cut of a border. This is from Crafter's Companion. And then this here is a door gatefold. I thought I would include it. I thought it was super cute. I love this little die. And I thought, you know what, how cool will it be just to, have this little shut, put a little maybe closure or something, magnet, and then open it up to a woman in there or something, I don't know. Maybe like a little extra frame. Who knows, right? Okay, so then I also have, wait a minute, that doesn't belong in there. Well, it does, but not in what I'm doing. And then here is one of those little cutouts. Okay, so I have some stamped images for my stamps. And so we have a zigzag stitch. We have a corset. And then we have a vintage sewing machine background stamp, and we have a dress form background stamp, and then these are the same except these are the ghost prints. So if you wanted to use these and then collage over, you could do that. And then these here, let me pull these up in my hand. Here. So you have these little vintage scissors. You have this beautiful dress form, a little rose, some more scissors, a vintage lady, a mirror, some more scissors, a little paper button. This here is not a stamp. This actually came from the public domain. It's crochet or embroidery thread. And here is a picture of a vintage woman, like a royalty woman. Okay, so then we have one of those things, the metal things that go in your thimble. Have a little mini tag. We have a bunch of these little scalloped pieces that I cut out as accents, maybe around buttons or something. Some are lace, some are plaid. A little picture of buttons. Here are some more of those antique papery dress forms and thread holders. This is one of those clothing advertisements. Here are just some square pieces. That is doubled. I don't think you want two of the same one, so I'm not going to give you two of the same one. Okay. So you have those. And then you have some tickets. You can cut them apart or you can leave them together. Here are some more scalloped edges. These are actually out of the antique papery pages, which are lovely. I have to just keep saying it because I just love it so much. And here's another tag from Digital Expressions. It's got two women on there getting dressed. And here is just a little plate. So that is everything that comes with this book. That is a lot, right? Well, when I go to do a book, I do chunky books. Can you see why I do chunky books? Because I pull out everything that I would think I would ever use. So I wanted to do something like this to just kind of, let someone be able to purchase it and be able to get an actual nice size kit to just make it their own. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to do. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will be posting it up on my Instagram. And remember, I have a shop on Macari. I don't sell on Etsy, but I do sell on Macari, and I do sell on Instagram. So if you guys are interested, make sure you find me on Instagram, and or even email me if you'd like. All right, guys, have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye bye now.